What's up, everyone? It's the divisional playoff round. We've got two incredible two-game slates. Saturday, Sunday only. Love this week of football. We're going to break it all down. So the plan today is we're going to take a look at each of the slates individually and just talk them out just a little bit. Then we're going to do a little bit of back testing. We're going to look at, first of all, last week's two-game slate, which was interesting because Brock Purdy, QB +1. What's up with that? Then we're going to go back to last year, divisional round, take a look at what won those, do a little back test, and then set up the Dom to make 150 for this one. Now, for everybody's knowledge and information, we're still doing tournament tactics tomorrow where we'll bring the crew together and we'll talk about each of these slates individually as well. We'll get into the plays, get into some contrarian stuff, and we're really going to try to cover every which angle that you might want to attack these. Now, first things first, I want to recommend that if anybody is planning on so I think two gamers are definitely better for handcraft. For mass multi-entry, whereas we have a 4-game contest that is probably better for handcrafting. So keep that in mind, but let's look at each one of these slates and games individually real quick. We'll kind of go over them. But we are in the playoffs. We already know these teams. Teams put their best foot forward in the playoffs, and every single player that's left right now is good and is a fantasy asset and is playable. So with that being said, let's take a look at the Saturday slate first. Then we'll take a look at the Sunday slate, and I've got the games up on screen here. We'll go position by position, just talk through a little bit, and then kind of go from there. So, QB position, we're talking Saturday here. Obviously, a lot of sexy names. A lot of good names here. Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. He's the man. Been great all year, averaging 27 fantasy points per game. Jalen Hurts, basically the same guy, averaging just under 27 fantasy points per game. Both of these games are very much... what is this, Sunday? Oh, let's get the Saturday. But, I mean, both these games potentially high scoring. A little bit more, like the highest team total here you've got for KC, and I kind of agree with that. But KC also comes with, and Mahomes comes with the highest price tag. Jalen Hurts doesn't need his team to score a ton for him to do well. Obviously, he's coming off the shoulder injury. They are saying he's fine now. Now, I don't know what that means, but we'll see how much running he does this week and if they want to lean on him or not, or how the Giants treat this game as well. The Giants are super live. They're playing really well. I think one of my favorites here, Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones, these are all viable plays. Every single one of them. Daniel Jones doing it with the legs, put up big numbers last week. It's a tough matchup on the road at Philly. Really tough place to play. Big ask for anyone to do well in a situation like that. Mahomes at home, so you got to favor that home team. But Trevor Lawrence also been getting it done lately. So a lot of it's a tough call at quarterback on the Saturday slate. Everybody looks pretty good. Let's take a quick look at the matchup analysis to see if any teams stand out poorly defensively. And we'll go KC. KC is allowing extra fantasy points to opposing QBs, as you can see here. All right, that's good. They're playing the Jaguars. The Jaguars are doing the same. They're allowing wide receivers and quarterbacks to score more than average. That's good for Mahomes. Good for, Mahomes wide receivers. This is good for Lawrence. So matchup wise, yeah, okay. Everybody looks good here. And then, of course, with the Eagles have actually been pretty decent defensively, allowing a little bit fewer fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. What's up, guys? What's up, Eric? What's up, Brandon? What's up, Baltimore Milk? Baltimore Milk. What's up, fellas? And then, of course, the Giants. Where are they? Yeah, here we go. And the Giants are pretty neutral. Tight end, Dallas Goedert. What's up, right? But it's the playoffs. Not seeing much here to go off of. So QB, we're going to have to mix it up. The pricing looks pretty good across the board. Like, it looks fairly correct. 5,800, 7,600. Enough gap between Lawrence and Jones to the elite crew that, yeah, it's probably, it allows you to maybe pay down and not have Jones outscore Mahomes or Hurts and still kind of get there. So Saturday only. Let's take a look at running back real quick. So at the top of the list, Saquon Barkley. Barkley is an underdog in a game where his team loses, has actually traditionally not been a very good play. This is a fine matchup for Saquon Barkley, and he looked pretty beastly when they gave him opportunities last week. But I have to say, the opportunities were less than I would normally expect. Only 9 carries, 6 targets. You know, where is the volume for Barkley? It's not been there. So Barkley, again, not as good when his team loses. I know that seems like almost simplistic and silly, but he hasn't been as good in losses as he has in wins. Now, here's a big score in a losing game at Minnesota, but that was a really close game. So you have to kind of negate that. The last time the Giants played the Eagles in a meaningful game, though, Barkley was pretty close to shut down. So let's keep that in mind because I think Barkley is going to be extreme chalk, and I don't think that we need to load up on Barkley. I don't love the running back position at home. Let's see. You got to stack with 2. So it doesn't matter. The harder one for me is Hurts with 2 because there's only really 3 legitimate pass catchers on the Eagles, and I think that makes it tricky. Goddard, Smith, and between Goddard, Smith, and AJ Brown, and Hurts is such a runner that if you wanted to do Hurts +1, we saw last week that Brock Purdy really was a one person, although there was a second member of the stack, but it was a running back. But Hurts is pretty unique. Hurts can run to the point where it could be just one, but that is what it is, right? There's only 3 legitimate pass catchers on the Eagles. That's a problem. So continuing on through the running back list, Travis Etienne is interesting here. Again, not exactly putting up smash scores most weeks. He's more of a 16-point guy than a 26-point guy most of the time, but it's a good matchup against Kansas City. It's fine. I think Sanders as 10 guy, I'm not going to question putting up 10K wins. Got the authority. But Sanders is contrarian, low owned. No one's going to be on Sanders. McKinnon, of course, is probably my favorite play of the slate. McKinnon kind of is all over the place, right? He either gives you a crap score or he goes off, and it's all generally on about the same amount of volume. So he's going to be in the mix for me. He could pop off, no problem. He can also destroy you. Isaiah Pacheco, man, he really is not an exciting play at all. I might, you want a strategic fade somebody. Maybe that's the guy. To strategic fade. He'll probably be pretty high owned, all things considered. So not a whole lot going on. As far as the turd running backs, Boston Scott has a history of getting touchdowns against the Giants. I don't think I can go there. I think one of the nice things about this slate in general is turds don't really count. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is off the IR from what I understand, but I don't think he's going to play in this one. All right, so just running real quick through the wide receiver position and top down. Note that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith at this point are the same price or right about the same. And this is something I've been talking about all year that I think it's finally catching up, and people are like, what? What's going on here? I even did a video about this the other day. People don't realize that Devontae Smith has higher draft capital than A.J. Brown. Smith was drafted in the first round. He has better, superior draft capital, and he might be, and DFS Up North has been talking about this all year as well. Like Devontae Smith might be just as good or better than A.J. Brown as a player. At the very least, they're both really, really elite. Could be either one. I like Smith. I like Brown. I like them both. Outside of those two, Christian Kirk, fine, but he's not really a stud. Juju Smith-Schuster at 5,100, fine, can get some volume on occasion. So all these guys are kind of fine. And these are really wide receivers I like tying into their quarterbacks. Hodgins had the big game last week. Slayton continues to get targets, and Rick James, Kadarius Toney. These are the turds that are going to allow us to afford what we want. Zay Jones has been doing it for us all year. And I think beyond that, we pretty much get to an area where we don't need to really fuck with these people all that much. Depends how turtly you want to get. But, none of these are buttons I'm going to click. Let's see what Marvin Jones did last week. I thought he did all right. Yeah, he got a pretty decent score last week at that touchdown. Quez Watkins is somebody to keep in mind. Usually gets a couple targets. So like on your QB +2, if we did QB +2 with Hurts, he's that fourth name that would get mixed in, maybe probably a little too much in those lineups. Tight end position, there are 3 tight ends that look really good: Kelsey, Goddard, and Evan Ingram. Dan Bellinger, he gets touchdowns. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Got a touchdown last week, scored 10. I don't think he was in the nuts. I don't think we need to go anywhere beyond really the top 4 and maybe only the top 3. You'll get people pushing like the Noah Grays. I guess the Chiefs secondary guys, Blake Bell, Noah Gray, maybe those for like the cheapness. But Bellinger at 3K, let's see how salaries come together. I'd like to try to throw a lineup together, and then we'll move on to the Sunday. And then, like I said, I want to do some back testing. Got a lot going on. Baltimore, I don't even want to hear about fucking weather. What rain? It's Thursday. I don't know what's sun and on Saturday. I don't know. Not concerning myself with weather. Last time I concerned myself with weather, it was supposed to be a rainy, horrible day in Seattle with 30 mile per hour, and then it was fine. Fuck the weather. Fuck the weather. All right. The answer is no. I'm not going to worry about the weather. Fuck that. Unless there's 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, ignore. Screw the weather. You know what's up. All right. Flex. Defense. Oh, yeah. Defenses. One of the things we saw last week was Jaguars. By the way, what a live bet. Jaguars +22. We're hammering that. So such easy money. But on over at Sharp, like we were hammering, by the way, this is VIP only. VIP. You know how we do. So we were hammering that bet. That was really easy money. But we saw that Trevor Lawrence could fall apart a little bit in the game. And, he's young and on the road, it's super loud in Kansas City. That's a thing. So, nasty, crazy environments. These home teams they have a home field advantage. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy in those stadiums. Philly is going to be going nuts. So these stadiums are going to be rocking. It's not good. As far as like betting purposes, I like a teaser this week where you just take KC and Eagles, get them. If you tease them 6 points, you get them both for like -1 or -1.5. That's how I'm playing it. I think KC wins. I think unless Jalen Hurts. So the one factor here to keep in mind, what if Jalen Hurts is still kind of looking like he did 2 weeks ago, a little dinged up, not right? If that's the case, the Giants could pull it off. But that would mean Hurts would have to still be hurt. So, betting purposes. But defensively, Eagles and Chiefs, of course. I would not touch the Jaguars. I think we can avoid them. And Giants can be played just in case Hurts isn't right. So that's kind of that trio. Throwing a lineup together, what the hell did I do here? Okay. So throwing a lineup together, let's give it a shot. We'll handcraft one here. And then again, we're going to move on to Sunday. Then we're going to talk back testing. We got a long sit back, relax, grab a drink, grab a hard seltzer, grab a vape, open the Dom station. We got a lot to do here. Okay. Yeah, and by the way, with the Eagles, I mean, how nice has it been? They got to rest Hurts. Hopefully he's back and healthy and that shoulder's good. Because the Eagles are the team that I think from the NFC is best capable of emerging and maybe even winning a Super Bowl. I think them. I like Dallas. I like San Francisco, but I think the Eagles have a really good mix going on. Although that defense needs to step back up again. So let's say we're doing a Pat Mahomes lineup. The challenge with Mahomes is you always kind of want to stack him with Kelsey. And the minute you start this off like that, you're like out of money. And that's never ideal. But let's see if we're able to pull it off. So from here, if you're playing Mahomes, I really don't want to play the Jaguars. So I'd probably go with the most expensive defense. Unfortunately, $5K left. Yeah, this, why did I give myself the hardest one? So let's talk about who we're pairing up with this guy. Hardman probably be back, but I've been interested in the way they've been using Kadarius Toney. I don't mind that in a stack. I mean, the funny thing is Juju Smith-Schuster at this point is pretty close in price. He's not getting volume. Such an unpredictable team. 10, 11, 4, 3, 2. Can go back to Juju here. Probably play McKinnon. Hardman is out this week. Okay, so at least that. So that opens up. That opens up Kadarius Toney even a little bit more. Maybe Toney will do it again for us. Tony. Throw in ETN here. Now here's where we have the Giants wide receiver group. Throw in a little Rick James. And finish out with Hodgins. I like Dallas Goedert here. Yeah, good. I mean, listen, Edwards-Helaire, if he freaking played, just throw another one into the mix. But there you go. Something like this. Double tight end is going to be really, really popular, a big play on this particular slate because there's 3 of them that are good. I think the running back group is not very good. So that combination probably puts us into something like this. And notice I got a lot of... So what I did here was basically a Jaguars. I got 2 players from the Jaguars. I got 1, 2, 3 Chiefs pass catchers. And then finish it up with Dallas Goedert, Rick James as my cheap wide receiver. It could be anybody. The Eagles have good cornerback play, so I think they're outside. Part of the reason I went with James is because, you know what? If Juju is that, yeah, I don't have any problem. By the way, I have no issue going like this also. And, if it got me something better. The problem is you kind of want to get up to Christian Kirk here, and leaving out Brown and Smith just makes me sick. But, in this case, so the Kadarius Toney allows you to get Hodgins, who's been a little bit better. But something like that works. I think there's a lot of different ways. I kind of like, if I'm making lineups for this contest, and I don't want to make too much of a lineup build here because I'll be honest, I don't like making lineups for 2-game slates. There's so few choices. But I do like, so you do a pay down version, right? Let's do a Hurts version, right? So Hurts, Smith, or Brown, and Goddard. Or can you afford Smith and Brown? Probably not. In this case, we'll throw Evan Ingram in there. We know we need a cheap tight end, Hurts, blah, blah, blah. Throw Chiefs defense on there. Again, maybe a little ETN or McKinnon. You know what? Running back is going to be where the money's made or lost on this slate. I could feel it. I'm telling you guys right now. There's only really 3, Barkley, McKinnon, and ETN. There's only 3 to choose from. And then you have like Sanders, who's been pretty turdly. You can't trust him, or can you? I don't know. And then you have Pacheco, same deal. It's kind of like, I don't know. Breida, no. Hasty is a turd. Boston Scott figures out how to score against the Giants all the time. I'm kind of interested in him in tournaments. But for the most part, I'm not recommending that. You kind of have to do something like this. There's no other choice. McKinnon, Sanders, we're going to pay up for Barkley? Maybe, but there's no salary for that. So I'll play a lot of Barkley, but, that's how this one's going to go. It's going to go weird. 3,900 left, 2 spots to fill. So it's really tough, as you can see. A Hurts, Smith, Brown combo, not easy. Now we got to get really inexpensive with whoever else is in this lineup. So I think we're going to go in the flex, and you got to play somebody cheap, and we might have to go all the way down to like a Bellinger to make this lineup work. Either that, double tight end it, and a $4,800, let's see here, flex. Yeah, like I like Zay Jones. So, I mean, that's how this one comes together. Really tough to combine Hurts with Smith and A.J. Brown. So that's going to be an issue tomorrow. It's probably better to take one of these 2 and then include Goddard. And then we have some money where we don't have to play a turdly tight end. Can still play Kelsey. No, that didn't work. Does not work. Let's see, 5,200. Yeah, I can still play Evan Ingram and then Christian Kirk, something like that. There's a lot of Jacksonville players. Yeah, could be. We'll see. Let's go back to some old slates and we'll get that figured out. But anyway, so that kind of covers this Saturday slate for the most part. Some general thoughts on it. I want to go to the Sunday slate, talk about this one. Where is it? Here we go. Sunday only. Let's see what contest they got. $20, of course. Single entry. $3. Here's a flea. Tiers. What? What? Oh my God. Fuck you. So take a look at this. This is ridiculous. The flea for Sunday is only 5,000 entrants, which, by the way, you should never max out a 5,000 entry. $5. You cannot make your money back even when you win it. So DraftKings shit in the bed again here with a flea. Yeah, listen, I that might happen. I don't mind it. We got to play some Sanders just because who else are you going to play? Even Kenny Gainwell. But no one's going to be excited to play Sanders. So here's a large contest, a play action. I'm sure there's like inexpensive ones, or you got to spend $20. So fuck you, FanDuel. I ain't spending $20 per entry. I'm just letting you. Oh, here it is. Oh, this one's cool. Chain mover. I like that. That's a little bit better. So anyway, let's take a look at this contest here. And ooh, game started 3. Okay. I'm learning. Didn't even know. Yeah, and that's where I was at with James. Him being in the slot might help him out this week. He didn't have a great game last week, whatever. But that was against the horrible secondary of the Vikings. The Eagles have Darius Slay. They got Bradbury on the outside. They're good corners, and their Giants wide receivers are not good wide receivers. They can't beat good cornerback play because they're not good. So, yeah, Rick James might be the guy, and Bellinger a little bit, and Daniel Jones with his legs. But mostly, I think the Eagles put a beating on the Giants. Okay. Sunday. Cincinnati at Buffalo. Dallas at San Francisco. So we've got Dallas and San Francisco, kind of maybe a defensive game, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't think we want to skew our approach at all. Just fucking let it ride. Just let it ride. Now, obviously, Buffalo, Cincinnati seems like the sexier game on paper. Buffalo still hasn't put a full game together in a while. I don't know what's going on with Josh Allen, all the interceptions, all that stuff, but whatever. Joe Burrow got that swag. And Brock Purdy's been spectacular, and he's still ridiculously priced. So give me some Brock Purdy. Start a lineup off. But obviously, Josh Allen's great. Stack him with 2. No worries there. Joe Burrow, definitely a stack with 2 guys. Which are the 2 for Burrow? Who are the 2? Chase? Higgins? Can we afford both of them? Boyd? Do I need to play Boyd? It's just 3 guys that he has. Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. There's no tight end of note. Hayden Hurst, he stinks. How does he get there? Dak is easier to stack with 2. CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard. Got to include Pollard in that. Yeah, I mean, Chase Higgins, we're going to play them both. Chase Boyd, Chase Higgins, Boyd, Higgins. There's only 3 guys. I think these teams with only 3, it's really tough when you have to force 2 of them, but that's how you got to do it. Let's go to last year and see if QB plus 2 worked. We're going to do that in a minute. Purdy did it last week with just 1. You got to include Christian McCaffrey in your Purdy stacks. Love Christian McCaffrey. It's not a good matchup for him, but I love Christian McCaffrey. CM Sizzles. I do not like Zeke Elliott in this matchup really bad. Gonna avoid. And then Dak did great last week. Again, it's a tough matchup for him, but he did amazing last week. Looked like a new man. He looked like Danny Dimes after he emerged from his cocoon and transformed to Danny Quarters. That's what happened with Dak. He looked amazing last week. So I like all the quarterbacks. Like I said, it's really hard to pick through these guys and say, oh, you can't play this guy or that guy. They're all pretty good. So I think we're just going to use technique, lineup building technique, rather than worrying a ton about which of the quarterbacks we're choosing, because they're all good. This is the playoffs. This is round 2. We know what these guys are. We know what they do. There's no surprises here. Running back. Who's been disappointing us all year but Joe Mixon? Are we going to keep going back for more? Maybe. Yeah, I like this thought about the defense. Obviously, defense against Miami was the nuts defense last week, and I didn't think anything of them. I didn't think they can go into Buffalo and do what they did, but they did. So, yeah, we could play some Cincy defense. They've been very good. Even Dallas defense is playable on the road. They've been very good. They're up against a rookie. As great as Brock Purdy has played, would it shock anybody if all of a sudden he wasn't that great anymore? I don't know. It won't shock me. McCaffrey, don't love Mixon, don't love Elliott, don't love Singletary. So it's like McCaffrey, a little bit of Pollard, little Mixon, and then James Cook. But yeah, like how many times does Mixon need to burn us? Like you got to play a little bit, but I'll try to be under the field. We did last week. Why didn't they run him more? I don't know. Where's a good game? One good game all year. He's justified 6,500 once all season. 1 week, one time. All season. James Cook, I like. Seems to be taking over as the top dog. James Cook is like deceiving because he's supposed to be a pass catching running back. They don't throw to him very much. It's kind of weird. If I'm putting 2 people into this lineup, I mean, in my perfect world, I really want to get McCaffrey in my lineup with Purdy. That makes sense to me. Get a little Debo. It's his bike. Okay. There's your double stack. McCaffrey, got to mix him in with somebody cheap enough that you can actually work in McCaffrey. Let's see how this looks. Defenses, Cincinnati Bengals. You know what? Fuck it. Pay the cheapest one, right? Buffalo, not that scary. Not as scary as you would think. Hayden Hurst, Dawson Knox, Schultz. I always like Schultz. I've been singing his praises. Kittle is very playable as well, but that price is a little tricky. And Dawson Knox, Buffalo, it's fine also. Did he have a good game the other day? He had a decent game. He never really gets more than 5 targets. Schultz, though, man, they do lean on Schultz when they can. So we like Schultz in the showdown. He crushed. That was awesome. 6,400 left. All right, let's look at wide receivers. So you got Chase up top. Great. Diggs, fine. CD, great. Ayuk. Yeah, okay. I'm fine with Ayuk. Gabriel Davis had the big game. Tyler Boyd at 4K. That's fine. Gallup. So, like, if we want to get cost savings, want to play some studs, how about that? Catch me outside. Got Diggs, got Chase and Diggs in there. Fine by me. I could switch this for Lamb. That's fine. Okay. Look, salary left over. Doesn't look like salary is going to be too big of an issue on this one, especially if you're playing Brock Purdy. So, interesting slate, interesting situation. Putting the lineup in. Boom. All right. Now, I want to go to the back test on the Dom station, and we're going to get the Dom set up for some of these slates, but I want to do a little bit of back testing with you guys first and kind of remind ourselves of some of the rules and setups that we came up with in the last stream for 2-game slates. We're going to take a look at last year's divisional round as well. So first we'll look at last week's 2-game slate because this was a unique one. I'm going to, I already have my settings in here for unique. Max 2 versus defense. We can do max 3 versus defense. 2-game slate, we can lower that to 2. This isn't an ownership cap. It's just a large number. It's above what the cap should be. I was actually messing with this for a while. Rules, legacy. Here we go. Wait, abort. Need the rules in place. I was messing with this for a while, trying to see if I could I could not replicate the winning lineup last week, no matter what I did. This was last week, Saturday. Is this last week? Yes. Let's look at the lineups. It was Purdy, McCaffrey, Debo, Eckler, Metcalf, Zay Jones, double tight end, Chargers defense. Which is crazy because Jacksonville scored so much. Now, note here in this winning lineup, guys, remember how I told you should allow multiple players against your defense? Well, Chargers, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. It's defense versus 2. So this rule does stay in place. We'll give this a run. The score of the winning lineup was 229. And again, it's funny because in the contest I was in, it was a 227 that won it. Didn't get to 229. Right? But this contest has more entries in it. So let's see what we can do here. I'm building 200 lineups in this run. And I want to see what the highest score we get here is. I got to reset settings, though. I feel like this is not the right way to do this. 224. There we go. So I had a 224 in this run, but I have some adjustments that I've made. For example, I allowed Christian McCaffrey 70%. I added and I increased the Austin Eckler exposure. So basically, I've made a few little adjustments. And the best I could do is a 224. 224 is good for, it's still a good lineup. Again, in the contest I was in, it was 3rd place in the flea. Actually, let's bring that one up. Because this is more realistic. Yeah. So the 224 was good for 3rd place in this one. Not too bad. 5K. Now, how do we get there? I basically kind of spread exposures out to the 4 quarterbacks. I had to artificially raise up Brock Purdy in order to make it happen. At running back, I basically just said, you know what, fuck it. Let's go all in or close to all in on Christian McCaffrey. Let's see what happens if I go fully all in on McCaffrey on this next run because he's in the nuts. Wide receiver, 40% cap. Tight end, 40%. Defense, 40%. No adjustments. The only real adjustment I made was allowing Christian McCaffrey. So now I just allowed 100% Christian McCaffrey because I just want to see what happens. But primarily what's going on here is I did a QB plus no less than 2 wide receiver, tight end, RB, same team. Effectively allowing a Purdy lineup to exist without having 2 of his pass catchers because obviously 2 of the pass catchers were not part of the nuts. So that's how we did it. I want to just see if allowing even more Christian McCaffrey, going even more on that one chalk piece actually helps. Remember, we've also got 4 uniques here. Now, maybe 3 uniques is better. Maybe 4. I think 4. And I don't have an ownership cap in place that is an issue. So next, I'm going to put the ownership cap down and see if the numbers. I already did a lot of this testing for this specific slate before. And like I said, I could not come up with the perfect lineup. See, there it gets worse. So as weird as this seems, increasing, my Christian McCaffrey exposure actually resulted in a lower score. Why did it do that? I don't know. Now, another phenomenon I noticed recently, by the way, guys. If you're no, the randomization doesn't. I have randomization. Randomization, I don't like to use it too much for the testing. I like to use it in terms of making it go faster. But if it's going fast enough, I don't tend to use it too much for testing because I can't replicate the same run over and over again, and that just gets weird. But check this out. Why did it get worse? I don't know. Like, I have more Christian McCaffrey. He's a nuts player. Why would it get worse? I don't know. I really don't. I have no idea. But with that being said, I'm going to raise up my McCaffrey here so that I actually get, there we go. So that I actually get 100%. I think it's because when you lock in a player, 4 uniques becomes too many. The other thing is I want to mention to you guys, because I noticed a phenomenon. A lot of times closer to lock, like ownership projections are changing. And last week I noticed this. So like I'm hitting refresh projection like half an hour before lock. Ownership's changed. I'm running it thinking everything's going to be the same, but ownership numbers went up and the ownership cap that I had was then too low and it kind of made a real screwy run. So I had to raise my ownership cap right before lock. And I don't know, it's kind of a weird phenomenon, but just be aware that that could happen. Like if the ownerships all change kind of an hour before lock and you've been running it and setting your shit up and whatever and adjusting and tweaking and you know how much tweaking we really need to do is another question. But if you've been doing all that, just be careful when you hit refresh projection. And if that does happen where it gets a little screwy, you know, there it is. It didn't get better. Even more Christian McCaffrey. So this for me is, let me go down to three uniques now. See, this for me is a really interesting thing. You would think that locking a player in like McCaffrey. So in the run where I only had 70%, I hit a 224. But now every single run that I've done since then has only been 221. Why? I'm getting more McCaffrey. He was part of the nuts. 215. It just got worse. Why? 3 uniques, worse than 4 here. All right, let me try this. One last attempt. So 375 was the total P owned. And we said, let's go take 15% of that. So that's 37. That's about 50. So I'm going to call it 330. Try this. Sometimes it feels like really random. Why does one run hit a 224, but a run with less Christian McCaffrey, who is in the nuts, gets 215 or 221? That's how crazy this stuff is. Even when you kind of know the result of the question, the answer, you know, getting there can be a challenge. So let's sort of final fantasy points. Yeah, 206. It got worse. Oh, because the nuts had very high ownership. There you go. So that's not going to help. $326. So you're not going to hit it. So that's the other danger. Yeah, it got worse. 209. So ownership cap on this slate, helpful. It's a weird fucking slate. $221. There it is. So yeah, ownership caps not super helpful on this one. You know, we've already hit a 224. It was a pretty close to a top lineup. So from here, what I want to do is go back to January. Oh, great question, Eric. If I use final fantasy points, that's effectively the first lineup it generates is going to be the highest possible lineup. It's the highest possible lineup, right? Because you're doing final points, so there's no actual. Sorry, guys, I have to answer this. Yeah, you're going to have final fantasy points, meaning you're optimizing by the end result. So that will just give you the perfect line. You're effectively not learning anything when you do that, Eric. So don't do that. All right. So what I wanted to do was go back to January 2022, and I'm going to look for the divisional round. 13 game main slate. What the? When did the fucking? When did this shit end? Guys, 1 second. This shit's going nuts here. Hold on. I'm going to put you on mute. Sorry, guys. I don't know what to say. I had to take that. I never do that during a stream, but like that was like an emergency. All right. What the fuck last week? So 3 games Sunday. All right. January 2022. Yeah, here we go. So 123. Let's see here. This is a 3 game. Let's go to 123. Got a 2 game. This was the. Let's see which game this was. This should have been, determining who's going to the Super Bowl, I'm assuming. 123, 2022. That's a Pat Mahomes. No, they don't have good information here on what actually won. 1, 2, 3, 4 Chiefs, 5 Chiefs in the same lineup. Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can find this slate here. Let's see if we can find it. 123. 123. Let's go. All right. Yes. Holy shit. You know what's crazy? My settings from that week are still in the DOM station? What? Apparently I liked Tyreek Hill quite a bit. Unless I backtested this recently. That is bananas. Heh. I feel like it. No, these are my actual settings from that slate. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But we've got to start 4 uniques. No, I must have been backtesting this. Let's start this again. So we're looking at last year Sunday only slate. Rams, Bucks, Bills, guys, help me out here. Help me out. Just help me out for a second. Bills played Kansas City in week 2 of the playoffs. No, it wasn't even the one. It's just something like somebody from the office, so to speak, calling. It was no big deal. No big deal, but it's not a call I normally get. So anyway, I'm taking a look at this. This was not the divisional round. This was the same week as this, the Sunday slate, because Kansas City beat Buffalo in the divisional round last year. Anyway, it doesn't matter. 2-gamer. So let's see what won. 252, big score. All right, fine by me. 252. So let's do our normal stack. Stack QB, 2 wide receiver, tight end, same team. We're going to set our max exposure 50%. 200 lineups, 4 uniques, 3 players versus defense. Set randomization here, 7%. Should make it move quick. Server mode, tournament mode. Go. So again, what won? Mahomes, McKinnon. McKinnon didn't even score well, but he was the nuts. Leonard, Uncle Lenny, fat playoff Lenny. Mike Evans, Gabriel Davis. That was Gabriel Davis week. Remember that, guys? And then Reek and Kelsey. And we've been doing a lot of stacks last year where we get Mahomes with... Can we even make a... Are you even allowed to do this many players from one team? Tampa Bay defense. What was wrong about it, what I really like about this year, guys, is that, you don't have KC and the Bills going at it in week 2. This was not Championship Sunday. This was, I feel like it was the Bengals that went to the Super Bowl. So, am I tripping? It was Bengals and the Rams. Anyway. I thought it was what am I tripping? Bengals and the Rams. Anyway. All right, let's see what we scored here. Final fantasy points. So 226, nowhere near the nuts score on the first run. Okay. Let's take a look at these high. So we had exposures. Gabriel Davis, only 20%. Tyreek Hill, who we loved, 50%. Cooper Kupp. Okay. I'm going to try something different. Exposure max. Let's go from 50 to 40 and run it again. Just like that one change. Nothing else. 50 to 40. Let's see what happens. What happens when you go down from 50 to 40? We might need to make an exception for a running back or two. But what's happening is, note that what happened in the last run. When you're on a chalk player, like Christian McCaffrey, for example, last week, and I raised him from 60% to 80%, it made no difference in the top score, which is counterintuitive. It seems kind of weird, but that's what goes on. Yeah, this just got better. So lowering it from 50 to 40 got us up to 232, which still not great. Still nowhere near the nuts, but at least was a little bit better. So let me see what's going on in our player pool here. Yeah, not getting enough Gabriel Davis. So I just want to make that one adjustment. He went crazy that week. Did we not know at that point that Gabriel Davis was a thing? I don't remember. Yeah, I'm like, hey, Bengals went to the Super Bowl. I don't want to mess too much with this stuff, but because I don't remember the slate, I'm just trying to find a general sense of, actually, without raising Gabriel Davis. Let me see if I can do this differently. I'm going to try to do this differently. Let's see what happens. Again, let's go to the total P owned. 281. That's the highest, right? So let's just take 10% off of it and go to 250. Run it again. Just going to 250. Total P owned. I haven't tried this before. I'm just trying to like mess a little bit. I do think in the end of the day that you have to massage. I'm not a no tinker guy. I do think that just the standard stack QB plus 2, ownership thing, 4 uniques gets you pretty close. And again, we're looking at a giant tournament, the Millie Maker. I mean, I could look at something a little smaller and see if it's different looking. Let's see what this one did. Yeah, 248. Yeah, still need a high score. So let's see what we got here. What the? Oh no, hold on. Yeah, 228, not better. In this case, let's see with Davis. Yeah, it's not helping us get more of him. So let me go a little lower here. I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to see if lowering the ownership cap helps at all. We'll see. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to find the other one. And this is that Fantasy Labs thing. I'm going to try to find the other game as well. But man, is it hard to get the Dom Station? I don't even know if the Dom Station can put 4. I don't know, see if that's even allowed. I didn't, the winning lineup here. Where is it? 1, 2, 3. McKinnon, Kelsey, Hill. That's not even with Mahomes. Allen. It's crazy. Josh Allen with Davis and Beasley. Mahomes, Hardman, Hill, Davis, 225. Very tough. Very tough. What if I do? Just curious. I'm going to test this. QB with 3. We're not going to use that, but I'm just curious. On this slate, that might actually work out. Remember, that game was nuts. Both of these games were crazy. Pringle. $218. Worse. McKenzie. Ugh. Yeah, that's gross. So I definitely don't like that. Got to stick with the rules that have been working. QB with no less than 2. Yeah. No, and you got to play 3. Got to play 3. So I'm going to do the cheat code here. I'm just going to smash in a door on Gabriel Davis, and let's see if that helps us. Because we're not coming anywhere near the nuts. So Brent, good question, and yes, for the most part, yes. But those are giant slates. In a 2-game slate, it's far more likely that it's going to be QB plus 2 or even more than that. So yes, but the context being those are main slates. As the slate size gets smaller, you want to kind of have a little bit more focus on. You want to have a little bit more focus on bigger stacks because there's not that many options. So yeah, Hill and Kelsey, that's always a common combo. 233.1. So I remember I remember backtesting this last year and I could never hit it. So this was just that maybe if I lower the uniques, I don't know. Again, I could cheat code and get the nuts lineup. It's not a problem. I'm trying not to do that. So understand what I'm trying to do. I know. Listen. Once you know who scored the most points, I can just hit like on these guys and get lots of Evans and get the right players in there, and I can certainly cheat code it, so to speak. I'm just trying not to really do that. I'm trying to figure out. All right, what wins us this tournament without having to sort of fake it till we make it. Everybody scored a ton on this slate, though. What are we getting at quarterback? Allen, Mahomes, Stafford. But yeah, I mean, this is a good mix. You'd look at this and go, okay. Oh, strategic fade on Cam Akers. Wait a minute. Cam fucking Akers. Hell no. Yeah, that's what we needed. Cam Akers, who'd been looking like shit all year last year. Let's strategic fade his ass and see if that changes the result. Yeah, 24% Bernard, and that's what's going on here. What we have to do is raise up. By the way, guys, let me know if anybody's out in NFL today and NBA. Like if there's anybody out. This is where you want to go a little higher. McKinnon, I want to go a little bit higher. Devin Singletary, 55. Singletary had a great run at the end of last year as well. I was really into him. So I think the issue here is the running back position. So let's see if we make this little adjustment. Yeah, sorry, I'm combining a lot. Normally we should have done like a backtest stream on its own and then a little breakdown of the slate, but it's so small. There's so few things going on in terms of like just two game slates that, yeah, Sony Michel, hard fade as well. Like, yeah, hell yeah. I don't even have any of that. So this looks a little bit better. I probably wouldn't want this much Gio Bernard either or any of that. But here, 229. Didn't help our score a ton, but at least I think we're on the right track with that. Who am I not getting enough of? Oh, looks about right to me. I don't have any hard fades over here. Gronk. What happened to tight end? Was this a slate where tight end? Yeah, you just needed to not pay that much. All the tight ends did nothing. What won? Even Kelsey was in the nuts, even though he didn't do shit. Cole Beasley. Am I not getting any Beasley in my results here? Yeah, why is there no Beasley? Huh. Must be a Beasley. Not that he did a ton, but he should be in some lineups. I don't know. I'm going to move on from this one. Let's take a look at, you said 122. Let's see if there was a two-gamer. That's here, Saturday only. There we go. All right, let's take a look at this one next and see if we can hit the nuts. Burrow, 1, 2. Look at this. Burrow with 1, 2, 3, 4. So another slate, one team, and then Tennessee against Cincinnati. So check this out. This is interesting, guys. Look at what won here. 4 players. Here's Tennessee defense. 1. How the fuck did they score 12? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 players versus defense. And only one player that's not from this one game. And Burrow didn't even have a good game, and yet somehow that was the nuts play. I'm fascinated by it. So let's find that slate. Fuck this one. It was crazy anyway. Let's find that one. So this was 123. We're looking for 122 Saturday only. All right. If you're doing this along with me, look for 122, 2022, 120, 122, 123, Saturday only, late. 123 main, 122, 130, 123 main. Is that the Saturday? Oh, that's all 4. I don't want the main. Fuck. 122 to 123. Here. Late Saturday? Prime time? Fuck. You know what? Here's how I'm going to cheat code it. I have an idea. Since I don't think we saved that slate for whatever reason, it does not appear to be archived. So what I can do, I'm just going to turn off these 2 games and run it with these 2 games. So again, really interesting looking at this result. It was Burrow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Azuma, Tennessee defense. Would have been hard to avoid Derrick Henry on this slate. Very hard. Let's look at my players. So we unchecked these two teams. So we're really only dealing with here Aaron Jones, Mixon, Derrick Henry. I think the Bills tight end was a nuts. And he is in excluded. Uh-oh. He is? Oh, my God. Members of the body. He's behind in the stream. Burrow's one of the best in the league. Releasing ball on this media. All right. So anyway, let's you're behind on the stream. So let's make our rule. Simple rule. 4 versus defense. Server. Tournament mode. 70. 4 uniques. No ownership cap. Randomization set to 9. Let's see what this was in the final. Okay, so look what happened on the slate, guys. This was such a weird slate. Tannehill was shit. Aaron Rodgers was shit. Jimmy Garoppolo was shit. Aaron Rodgers was projected. All 3 of Tannehill, Burrow, and Rodgers had a similar kind of ownership on the 4 game. Let's see what their ownership. Yeah, Burrow was 40%. Okay. Let's see. Burrow 40%, Jones 30. So Burrow was the absolute highest owned. Oh, we got to set our ownership cap. Let's start it at 50% here and see how it looks. So I'm just again, we're doing a little bit of testing. I just want to kind of see what 2-game slates. We did a bunch of intra-week 2-game slates in one of our original backtest streams, and our settings were working pretty well. I don't want to mess with it too much, but I wanted to take a chance to kind of look at a few other slates and get some sense and see if we could find any similarities. $155. $160. Guys, take a look at what just happened though. This is the stuff this is what I'm talking about. First run, we're all sitting here together. You just watched me do literally nothing except QB +2. The only adjustment I made was allowing 4 versus defense, and I'm not even sure that that's relevant here. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 versus defense was the only adjustment I made. And our first run, we took in this giant contest, effectively the playmaker, which is, oh, that's the 555. So only 600 entries. Let me see the biggest contest because, yeah. Okay. No, we're not even close in this one. All right. So I was going to pat myself on the back, pat us on the back a little bit more than we needed to. And that's inappropriate. Okay. So first run, 155. So let's make an adjustment here. 50% max to 40% max. I would say we have to consider yes to the running back. So let's look at the actual slate. I think we should pay attention player by player in these situations. But yes, I would say, yeah, QB +2 does seem right. And allowing the running back in the right circumstance is correct. So like I said, with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey on that team, yeah, I'd probably allow him to be part of the stacks. Was last week an anomaly where Brock Purdy scored 36 and didn't carry any other wide receivers with him? I think it's kind of an anomaly. All right, so this is interesting. And this has a 0 from Ferkser in it. Still got us 162. So in the case of and Ryan Tannehill, going down to 40% max did help a little bit, right? In the case of this one, 40% max, final score 162. Okay. Let's take a look and see if we can find any strategic fades. We don't need any of these guys. Not that we're getting any of them, but no, we did. Okay, so we can get rid of some of those guys here. Probably get rid of AJ Dillon. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's fine. 4, 8, 12, 16. We need, so here's another thing, guy. Here's another thing. Consider the percentages, right? We have 200% running back to cover. 200%. I can't simply lower this to 40%. You can't do that. If you're not going to play backup turds, and we set the max at 40%, specifically at the running back position. So this is interesting. Well, it's not enough. So we actually have to raise this one up. Because think about it. We have 200%. That means if we distributed that equally amongst 4 running backs, each would need to be 50% just to cover the 200% allowance we have. So I'm going to go to 60 and just play the 4 top running backs in this run to make that adjustment. Okay, it didn't even occur to me, but yeah, it's 2 games. So maybe running back a little bit higher because there's fewer of them. We could still keep the wide receiver position at 40%. Let's see what happens. You can even go to 60. We went to 60% running back. And maybe that's a little trick that I hadn't thought of for 2-game slates, because when we go too low, we end up with a lot of turdly running backs. All right, that got us up to 166. Okay. You know, not bad. Not bad at all. In the zone. 166. Got your money back on your entries. I don't think the Dom Station even allows for 4 players, a QB. 5. Oh, yeah, here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is it. Okay, Burrow, Mixon, Higgins, Azuma, Chase. Great. Aaron Jones. Great. Then Hurtleo, AJ Brown, and Bengals defense. So this used Bengals defense. What if we change this to Titans defense? $170. Okay. Let's take a look at the defense here. I'm getting a lot of Giants. Titans. But it's not showing up against, because this is 5. We don't even have a setting. Oh. There we go. All right, let's try this again. The winning lineup is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it was San Francisco, actually. San Francisco, who put up a 21. Oh, wait a minute here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold up. Wait a minute. Why am I even allowing for this? All right, let's do this different. It was San Francisco. San Francisco. What the hell? 49ers. Can they fit in here? They scored 21, and then we win. So look at this, guys. Look at this. It's the same lineup that won, except our defense was the wrong one. So now I just moved 49ers defense in that spot. I have salary left over. Could have spent up for them. So was 49ers defense not projected as well as these other ones? Yeah, look. Oh, that's what's up. Okay, 49ers defense got a shitty projection. Why? Because they were up against the Packers, I guess, on the road, but okay. Just that projection. Let's do this again and see. I'm trying to make that lineup. We just hit it, basically, except for the wrong defense in there. I swapped in San Francisco. That's the 179 that took the tournament down. I mean, we got this exact score, $100,000 winner, right? So the whole issue, we were getting it. Again, what are our settings? QB with no less than 2. RB, 60%. All other positions, 40%. So the trick I just learned, and I don't think we need the max 6. Yeah. But now it won't do it again. Why do you forsake me? San Francisco. Let me try max 1. Let me try 0. Actually, we need at least 1. I'll try it again. Why'd the number go lower? I don't know. Oh, we have randomization on, so each run is not going to be the same. That's another problem. That's why I don't like using randomization that much for these tests, because I'm like, oh, I just hit it. And then the next one, you don't hit it. And it's like, oh, was it a good setting or a bad setting? I don't think it's the best for testing shit out. So I go 4 unique or 3 unique. It's hard to know when you don't have randomization on. So it's 111. Okay, here we go. Okay. Anyway, 156. So it's not getting better as I'm doing this, but I think part of the problem is there's too much randomization. Let's go back to our original. I'm going to do one more run. I just want to see. This one allows more players versus defense. Fine. $159. Another weird fucking slate, though. I got to be honest. A weird freaking slate. All right. Enough of all of this. Let's go to this week's slate. My head is spinning. So let's get our setup going. Now we're just going to do our Saturday only. We'll take a look at one of them. Saturday only. We'll have time to look at the Sunday. So let's do a little setup here. So again, don't use too much with the exclude function, guys. I don't know that the exclude function seems to be working weird, so please don't use that. Don't exclude KC and Philly. Make individual. So if you want to make this rule, just make individual rules. Just do it like this. So let me show you the better way to do this. Make a rule for Mahomes. If you want to make no less than 1 for Mahomes, just make that rule. Or include and do 2, but you can include the running back in there. So you can include Pacheco in the rule, right? For Hurts, if you want to make it no less than 1, exclude the running back. Fine. Okay. You know, you want to do T-Law, that should be 2. I would not include the running back and his. And if we want to do Daniel Jones, probably 2. Probably not including the running back, but if you did, I wouldn't be upset either. Probably not going to include the running back on his, though. I think Daniel Jones needs to be 2. So you can make that rule. So if you want to kind of, instead of using exclude, just make the individual rule for each player. So we are on the Saturday only. We are back to the future. Back to now. We're just set this set up. So we did learn that running back on these shorter slates, you can't set a 40% max or you're going to get a lot of this trash. And these are trash cans in your line. I don't want any of these people. I mean, Jermichael Hasty, Boston Scott. No, I don't like any of this. Right? I don't want Michael Burton. No Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No Gary Brightwell. Kenneth Gainwell, maybe. I don't want too much of that, right? So I'm going to set the max for running back at 60%, 65 even, so that we don't have to have. I really only like. I'm even going to go higher. Like Barkley's fine, but I don't love him. Etienne and McKinnon, Miles Sanders. It's an ugly one. There aren't that many viable. Running backs. So again, looking at the wide receiver position, let's use our standard 40% here. We don't have ownerships in on the slate yet, so I don't even know what to expect. We'll go 40%. And here, again, I'm going to go 50% on defense because I really only I prefer these two more expensive defenses. Let's allow 3 players versus defense here. I think that's enough. We'll go 170 lineups. 4 uniques. It's funny. I want to know what the final scores are. Like, did we hit it? But this is it. That's the setup I think I want to use. I want to see what it looks like. Ugh, Ron Jones. Ron Jones is only coming in the game at the goal line. He could score a touchdown. I don't think they brought Pacheco out because of fumbles. I think it was they like Ron Jones better by the goal line, which is annoying. Hurts everybody. Like, who are you going to play? Saquon? Saquon Barkley did terrible against the Eagles last time, right? Saquon Barkley did terrible against the Eagles. Who else? We want to load up on Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders get you 0. Etienne and McKinnon. Any one of these guys can fail. So running back. Oh, what the fuck is this slowness? Hold on. Did I put on? Oh, of course. Guys, another pro tip. Switch to server mode. We've sped up the server mode. I got to set it up so that's automated. Tournament mode. And we do have to, since we're in real time, we could put that 10% randomization. There you go. Look at the speed of that. Yeah, Sanders can get you 30, or he can get you 6. Like, the range of outcomes is huge. I do like Sanders, though. You're convincing me a little bit. You're convincing me. Got to hear what the tournament tactics crew says tomorrow, but you're convincing me a little bit. So effectively, when you're setting up the DOM, the first part is just getting the setup right, and then the second part is tweaking. And I know people say don't tweak. I disagree. You got to tweak. So I think you do tweak. Like, for example, right here. I probably want a little bit of a more mixed up version of the lineups. I do want to get some of these cheaper guys in there. So let's, get that going. McKinnon, Sanders. So a raw run, and this is what it looks like. Right now, I'm sticking to 40%. Unless there's some player that really stands out that, like, ooh, I want to really load up on that guy, and then I would allow for more. But for the most part, I think I want to stick with it. Like, I might smash a like on someone. Like, some of these turds you got to get out of here. But for the most part, yeah, this is okay. Goddard, Ingram. I definitely, I'm loading up on, I like the way this is coming together. Defense, Eagles, Chiefs, little Giants. I don't mind Giants. I don't think I can play the Jaguars defense. There's no point in playing defenses against Mahomes. Mahomes is he's like football Jesus. He's like the Jesus of football. He's infallible. He can't make mistakes. So I think you trim the fat out. And then let's say some of you guys are doing 20 max or something. In 20 max, you really got to kind of pick one. I would pick a quarterback and go all in. I would probably pick a running back and go all. Like, I might say, you know what, I'm going to have 100% exposure to this guy. And if it doesn't work, like, do I really need this much Isaiah Pacheco? No, I don't want it. So I'm going to limit him. Like, I'm going to limit him to 10%. I don't want that much. I don't want that much Pacheco. Kadarius Toney, somebody I like to have a little more exposure to than what I'm seeing. So I'm going to give him a little bump. Tight ends, I definitely want to have a lot of double tight end. So here's another thing I like to do. I like to count it 40, 30, 30. So here's another, all right, here's another thing. So I am, except no. I've just figured out the same exact situation is going on at tight end that we had at running back, where if I want a lot of tight end, including some double tight end, and I have it 40%, I'm going to get none of that because it's limiting all of these guys. I would like a lot of double tight end lineups, and I'm getting 0 because if you add this up, it's 40, 70, 100, and it's about like 100 and looks like 40, 100, 125, 130. So give them about 30% double tight end. That's all right, but I would like to be a little bit higher. And I have a feeling we don't get a ton of like, yeah, Kelsey Goddard, there you go. But like all of these in the first bunch of what's happening here is the first bunch of lineups that are being generated, I might be getting 2 tight ends in them. And then by the end, it's got no one left. So it starts jamming all these other crap turds in there because it hits the limit. So, one thing John Statsational told me is he's like, he doesn't barely even use max limits at all. He just lets it roll. And he raises up the number of uniques in order to get different rather than using max exposure limitations to make it happen. So now we're getting tight end 60, 90, 120, 135, 145. So we're getting a little more double tight end, which I like. Wide receiver. Are we seeing anybody here that we're not getting enough of that we want more of? You got to smash a like on them. Even with a like on Kadarius Toney, it didn't get me a ton. Quez, Hardman, we don't think he's going to play. We're going to, this doesn't matter for now. The projections will change. We'll get ownerships. But this is pretty much it. This is how I like it, right? Look at the running back, 60, 110, 150, 200. So barely any double tight end in the flex, which is what I want on this slate. I want a ton of tight end in the flex as well. Is there anybody we might raise our exposure to or lower? That's what you want to do here. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the way this is coming out. So I think that's it, guys. I think that kind of gives us an idea of how to set up the DOM. I think from here, what you want to be doing, so what do we come up with? Tight end, 60%. Running back, 60%. Wide receiver, 40%. QB, you got to pretty much control for QB. I went 35%. It makes sure we get some Lawrence and some Jones lineups. We can even go down probably to 30% for Hurts, 35 Mahomes I like, Lawrence 20, and I want to get a little bit more exposure to Danny Quarters. But, that's it. A little tinker, little tinky. You love the RBs, Jacob. See, that's interesting. I don't love the RBs at all. To each their own. I like the slate, though. I'm excited for this weekend of football. I just can't wait to watch these games. Super excited. So there we go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Nice little stream. Talked a little bit about the games. Talked how to set up the DOM. Thank you for hanging out. Again, we'll be back for tournament tactics tomorrow. And what I'm thinking is Saturday morning, maybe I'll do another kind of players club. Yeah, Danny Quarters, man. Didn't you see he turned into a man? That little sleeve of dimes has expanded into a giant. Soon he will be Danny half dollars. If he wins this week, he went from dimes to quarters. This week, 50-cent pieces. You ever see one of those? Fucking 50-cent piece, bro. That's what happens when you turn into a man right before our eyes. I think the Giants are just not that good a team. The problem with the Giants this week is just they're not that good. Like the Eagles are an actual talented, good team, whereas the Giants are a well-coached team with a quarterback that's emerging as a top 12 National Football League quarterback, which is crazy because you couldn't give away Danny Dimes in Dynasty coming into the season this year. You couldn't even give him away for a second-round pick. Now, good luck. He's unbuyable. He's already shown enough. Giants give him a giant contract. It's all going to happen. Anyway, guys, let's wrap it up there. Thanks for hanging out. Got more NFL action. I love what's going on my channel. Keep that up. Keep up the chat. Keep up the good stuff. Be back tomorrow. Tournament Tactics. Saturday, Players Club. Let's do this.